NIL has truly changed college football. At one time, you just had to focus on recruiting high school players, but now you have to recruit out of the portal, you have to recruit high school players, and you have to worry about schools throwing money at players. The subject of today's video is the epitome of the new age of NIL, and you know who we're going to be talking about, and that is quarterback Jaden Rashada. He has had quite the recruiting saga over the last few months, but despite all the stuff going on behind the scenes, Rashada is one of the top quarterbacks in the class of 2023 and will now have a huge impact at his third school he's committed to. Today's video, I want to introduce you to who Rashada is, talk about his crazy NIL recruiting whirlwind, and how his commitment impacts his new school. But before we get started, be sure to leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you never miss when I upload. Now, let's go ahead and get started. Going back in time, Jaden Rashada's dad was a Cali high school football star and would eventually go on to play in the Pac-12. He'd pass his love for the game on to Jaden, but it wasn't until about 6th grade when Jaden knew that quarterback was the position he wanted to play. It was around that time he gave up baseball to focus on his football skills, and it would pay off. He became a big-time quarterback prospect as just a freshman, but after his first year, the world would shut down in 2020, and Cali would not allow their kids to play football. Because of that, Rashada made a crazy decision and went across the country to play for IMG. He burst onto the academy's radar through scouting reports, which identified him as one of the best young quarterbacks in the country. IMG would happily take him, but after a little bit of time there, he decided it would be best to come home. He went back to the Bay Area and would finish his career at Pittsburgh High School. He said, quote, "IMG was an alright experience, but it wasn't what was best for me at the time at all. My family thought deep into it and thought it was just best to come back and end my high school career at Pitt. The reason I came back was a lot bigger than football, and there's just a lot to think about to get to the bottom of it." Some would say this was the start of Jaden flip-flopping between schools. He had good size for his position and was an incredible dual-threat quarterback, as he had 32 passing touchdowns, over 2,000 yards, and 7 rushing touchdowns in 2022. Rashada had also started the past 2 seasons, but at this time, he was now a 5-star recruit. Because of that, a ton of big-time offers would come in, but the main recruiting battle would go on between Miami and Florida. This led to a bidding war between booster-run collectives, and NIL would become the forefront of his recruitment. He originally committed to Miami, saying it was home, but then it was reported he was going to make over $9 million in an NIL deal. At first, it seemed like it was going to be a done deal for him to go there, and this would be a huge get for Mario Cristobal, but it seemed that ended up falling through. The regression of Tyler Van Dyke probably didn't help, the bad season Miami had didn't help, and then of course if the money fell through, there was no reason for him to stay in his eyes. So he chose to flip to Florida. He flipped to their rival school. This was apparently nuts, as a Florida NIL collective decided to offer him $13 million. This would end up happening, and he would gladly flip his commitment to Billy Napier. He'd become the center point of Napier's 2023 class, and with Anthony Richardson going off to the NFL, it seemed like Rashada was the perfect fit for them. Except, that apparently fell through. He didn't enroll in classes, and eventually asked to be released from his national letter of intent. This would end up happening, and he'd reopen his recruitment. It seemed that it would come down to Washington, Cal, and Arizona State, and eventually he would decide to commit to the Sun Devils. Going back and taking a quick glance at the Florida situation though, it seems that the Gators did not have enough money to fund the deal, and since his agency was not associated with the school, I don't think there'll be any sort of repercussions or NCAA violations on Florida, because it's hard to get them in trouble when it wasn't them, but who knows what the heck was going on, and Florida granted the release and let him go. He decided to commit to Arizona State over Cal, and this was a huge get for the youngest coach in the country, Kenny Dillingham. He's a supposed quarterback whisperer, and at only 32 years old, he's already done impressive things. He coached up Jordan Travis at Florida State, and most recently did wonders with Bo Nix at Oregon. Kenny went to ASU back in the day, so when they came calling, it was a no-brainer for him to take the head coaching job. While some thought that the 5-star quarterback that Dillingham would get would be Dante Moore, it ended up being Rashada. Moore was committed to Oregon with Dillingham, but he eventually went to UCLA, and now Kenny has found his guy, and there's no reason why Rashada should not start from day one. He'll have to come in and compete with Notre Dame transfer Drew Pine, BYU transfer Jacob Conover, and freshman quarterback Israel Carter. While Pine has some starting experience, Rashada's ceiling is obviously a lot higher, and Jacob Conover is a 4-star recruit who kind of flamed out, and Carter's just a 3-star freshman. To me, this is very similar to 2019 for ASU, as at the time they landed borderline 5-star quarterback Jaden Daniels, and he was the next big thing for the Herm Edwards era, and he also started from day one. That's exactly what I expect to happen, and some will say that Rashada just wanted money and a chance to play right away, but he has a pretty good reason why he's going to ASU. 1, he will get an opportunity to play right away. 2, you have Coach Kenny Dillingham. But 3, that is where his dad went. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that his dad played at a Pac-12 school, and Rashada's father, Harlan, was a part of ASU's football team in the 90s as a safety. He's always grown up loving the Sun Devils and said, quote, "Can't wait to carry on the family name at the university and start my journey, forks up." This was a very crazy situation and was sort of the first public bidding war we've seen in NIL. Yes, there's been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes and there's been some rumors, but this was a true NIL battle that was all over the news and saw him ultimately move around to 3 different programs. I wish Rashada the best at ASU, and I'm excited to watch what he's going to do there. There are some underlying red flags, and we've seen not so good things happen to prospects who can't seem to commit anywhere. We'll have to wait and see though, but right now this is a huge get for Arizona State and the rebuild that Kenny Dillingham is trying to start. But what do you guys think? What do you think of NIL? What do you think of Jaden Rashada? And what do you think of ASU for 2023? Be sure to let me know down below. Leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out all of the videos on the end screen, including how Kenny Dillingham is going to change Arizona State football. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.